got to see the best fights and some of the best sports.
No, I'll spend time reading. I enjoy reading and writing more so than anything else.
Okay, I'm talking. Yes, I'm sorry. He's trying to get me to check my mic. Sorry.
What do you want to know?
No, he wanted me to talk to get me going. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he got my attention, told me to start talking, so I could he could hear it and set the mic up, make sure it's right. So you need to keep talking?
We hope your mic is working. Well,
the monitor's not on, by the way. Okay. Sure. I don't know if I want to try without music. Maybe I'll put some music on. Hold on. Is it really? I said don't move a lot, huh? I got to figure out how to get that beeping noise off.
that beer drinking noise. Sound like he golfs a big
So where were we?
Yeah.
We should probably close the door too, Pops. There's two of them open, I think.
Yeah.
What the heck? Oh, that's why I got the wrong thing. There we go. I can see a thing over here, man.
Man, nah, we boogieing. You don't have no children, right?
No, sir. Some of them that saddens me. I don't know, but sometimes when I listen to how bad kids are, man, I'm like, man, that's
Kids
a lot
ain't
of
bad.
work.
Kids are mischievous. That's all. They're not bad. They're adjusting to the environment. You know?
Oh, I don't mean kids in general. I mean, like, I'd be more concerned about the influences my children that the influence other children would have on my children who got parents who are terrible, and that's the stuff that concerns me. But you ready? We're counting down. Yo, which camera is it? Is it this camera here? Yeah, all right, sorry. This is the old heads. We are here again, we're back. I'm King Bear Sadat. I turned the music down too fast, but nonetheless, I'm King Bear Sadat. I'm with the old heads. I'm here with Theodore Kirkland, author of Spirit and Soul, Odyssey of a Black Man in America, Volume 2 and 3. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, good to have you back again.
Well,
One of our recent shows we did with you a couple weeks ago, everybody loves it. Everybody thinks that loved having you as a guest, loved hearing what you had to say, and I'm really glad to have you back again as we get into things a little bit more.
Well, that's the blessings of getting old. You know, you can remember a long way back, and so you share that with people, and I think they like hearing a little bit about history. You know, so.
I always tell people, if you get a chance to talk to someone in your family or anyone who's been around a while, just ask them some questions and just
That's right.
Just
That's
listen.
Right.
They got
That's
some
right.
interesting things to say.
It's more difficult today dealing with that issue because there's so many other things that distract them away from doing that. Years ago, when I was a kid, you didn't have computers. You didn't have all that stuff that necessitated you paying attention to. We didn't even have a television set. So the family sat down at the table and you discuss things or whatever, Now that you have computers and you have cell phones, and Johnny might be over here and Susie might be over there and John might be over there, and the parent, the family never gets together and discuss the issues, you know. So that's the thing that we're missing a lot.
Yeah, indeed. You talked to me about how a lot of times when you grew up in your specifically your household, how you always had to sit down and talk about what went on in the day or what you learned, and just how when you grew up, you and your brother and your mom and father sat down and really broke bread together and had a chance to just sit down and talk about things.
Whatever the conversation was, you know, my dad might start something or my mama might start. I don't think it was anything intentional necessarily, a planned type of thing. It just comes automatic. If you're sitting down at a table with 4 people or 5 people, somebody's going to start up a conversation.
Right.
You know, so that's the way it went. You know, what happened in the family. You know, so forth and so on. Today, I know a lot of youngsters miss that. You know, they miss that attention. So I hear people blaming young kids for. I don't blame young kids for the way we are out here today. I blame adults.
Right.
You know, kids are brought into this world and they didn't sign no contract to come in here or anything of that nature. And they brought into this corrupt world, and it's corrupt. And the school systems may not appeal to them because it does not connect with them. You know, so it's not their fault.
Yeah, you know, it's really complicated, some of those things. I was listening to a story on NPR talking about education in, I feel like it was Nigeria, but Nigeria is always my go-to country when I'm talking about Africa, but it could have been any other country. I have no idea. It could have been Uganda. But they were talking about really sort of how they teach kids and sort of how capital punishment was a big part of it and how that ultimately had kids have anxiety and fear and things of that nature, but then having changing the way that they did the educating where they involved kids more, just sort of how there's different ways that they were going about doing things. Some of the old ways of doing things really weren't working. And I only bring that up because I wanted to talk to you about some of the things we had talked about before about people sending their kids to be educated, you know, at schools, and whether or not the schools are invested in educating these people and making them as smart as they can be. And one of the things I always thought was, you know, I talk about my parents, but my parents did a great job with my sister and I guess maybe more so than me, because my sister always talked about how she really would have liked to have followed dancing, but we were in a music school, and part of the music school was very education driven, and they basically subsidized our education from what the public schools were. And one of my friends was saying, or somebody I work with, or somebody was saying, they don't teach kids anything in school, and I found it really interesting that. I thought to myself, why don't you subsidize the kids' education? Why aren't you teaching them things when they get home? But I just wanted to talk to you about when you were saying that the way the system's set up, it's not surprising that those in power who are empowered with teaching our kids may not put them in the best position to succeed because they don't want them to compete against their own. Let's just say something like that. Just wanted you to expand on that whole thought.
I think, you know, the average black person, and I say average, really doesn't understand how this system functions. It's a system. We are in competition with all other groups of people. If I said to someone right now today, who controls the law enforcement, say, in the state of New York? What group? And they'd probably be shocked to realize that the Irish have the greatest influence in the prisons. Right here in Buffalo, New York, the district attorney is Irish. You follow, a significant number of judges are. Who goes to jail mostly? Our people. You follow what I'm saying? Right. Even when a situation that I've been writing about, where a 12-year-old kid is shot, he loses the right eye, and the man who did the shooting, shot. It was daylight. In the city of Buffalo, you don't fire a weapon in the city of Buffalo. That's a violation right there. But he gets off free. You know, he's white and the kid is black. And the DA doesn't make no excuses for his bias. I mean, really. But he expects your vote every year. If you understand what if you feel my drift, okay? Now, how about the school system? Recently, which the information came out, I believe, that all of the 4 black females on the school board receive campaign funding from the teachers union. What does that say to you?
They're in the pocket, the teachers.
Thank
yeah,
you.
the pocket of the teachers.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, we don't understand that. So they're looking out for the best interest of the teachers, not the best interest of the students. I wrote a piece back a couple years ago, and I asked them to stop fooling around with Palladino. That's a diversion. As long as you can concentrate on Palladino, you don't have time to concentrate on your own, on our children and what they need. So along the way, and let's give you one more example of what I'm talking about. Back in 1973, I was a policeman, but I took an exam for the Board of Education to be Director of Security for the Board of Education. You follow me? So I came out number 1 on the list. So I'm walking down Jefferson. After this hit the press, a member of the NAACP stops me. He says to me, "You're not going to get that job." Okay, why I'm not going to get the job? I'm number one, and so forth and so on. I'm the best man for it. It's because you have too good of you have too good of a relationship with the students. Is there such a thing as having too good of a relationship with students? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that circles around in my head, and I'm saying, like, what? And the school system and others depend on them doing the kinds of devious things or whatever they do to bring in that poverty money. You understand what I'm saying?
That's poverty money.
That's why you're not going to get it. Because our community and others depend on poverty money.
What's poverty money?
What is poverty money? Crime, poor education, unemployment, the works. So you get so much money from the federal government every year. CAO, Community Action Organization, consists of poverty money. That's why you don't have any interest in the medical corridor. Oh, you people get poverty funds. We didn't give you no job over here. We don't give you a job with all this construction going on in the city of Buffalo because you're the poverty case. Does that make sense? I mean,
It does make sense.
I'm trying to get you to understand how this system operates now. Okay, you're the poverty case.
Right.
So, our kids, what do they see? If everybody's getting poverty funds, and you get poverty funds by committing crime or crimes, you're promoting it.
Right.
I remember I'll go back further than that, back around 1969, when I was curious about all of a sudden the gangs began to shoot people, real guns and everything. They hadn't been doing this. And I was speaking out about it. And one night I came home and in my mailbox was the program. The program that consisted of the arrangements between the city of Buffalo and the federal government about a roving leader gang program. They would pay leaders. Right. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I remember you talking to me about it.
All right. They called in about the leadership of about 6 or 7 gangs in Buffalo and put them on a payroll. And they said, "What are we being paid for?" Just, you're being paid just to be a leader. I'm being paid to be just a leader. Yeah, you're being paid to be a leader. You get so much an hour, and then go on out there and be a leader. Now, what does that mean? What does that happen? That means that you're rewarding someone for devious
Criminal activity, yeah.
Now, does that not try it in your family if you think I'm kidding. You take 5 kids, you give one of them in that group money because he's bad, what happens to the others?
Okay. Be bad.
There's a need to be bad here. Right. So all of a sudden, this thing blooms up. Kids are being threatened to join gangs. I'm trying to say to you, this stuff is not happening by accident.
Right.
We are, as we got to a certain place in society, with the passing of the 1965 and 68 Civil Rights Acts,
okay,
we will find ourselves in competition with all the other groups in Buffalo.
Right.
Okay, for the political end of it. That's where we began to fail, okay? When you got to that political end, they threw roadblocks, poverty funds out in front of you. And those that made it, they made it with the graces of white people, not with yours. We ain't put nobody in office.
All right, so we're gonna stop right there.
Okay.
Just 1 second, we have to stop
All
here.
right.
We're gonna come back. This is the Old Heads. It's King Bear Sadat here with Theodore Kirkland, author of Spirit and Soul, Odyssey of a Black Man in America, volumes 1 and 2. You can get that book right on Amazon today. I forgot to look at the camera. But anyway, we'll be back in a moment. It is warm.